it's time for a book haul where I try and describe books with their synopsis CCCs, but I really am terrible at that, so we're gonna try and just see what happens. Hopefully explain the books alright and you understand. Hello! My name is Indy and today I'm here with a book haul because I can't help myself and buy more books because that's just how life is, and hopefully this is my only one massive book haul for the year because I'm gonna try and stop and put myself on a book ban. But while we have books to haul, we are going to talk about them, so here we go. So I got all of my books from Book Depository because they're good, and I went a bit crazy and got lots of hardcovers, so it was a bit pricey, but I just did it because hardcovers are amazing, and some of the covers were like just beautiful on hardcover and I could not pass them up. The first two books I have are Cress and Winter by Marissa Meyer, books 3 and 4 in the Lunar Chronicles series. I previously owned Cinder and Scarlet, so now I have the other two books so I can marathon the series. I didn't buy Ferris, I don't know if that's something that I will get in future, but at the moment I have all 4 books, so now I can marathon. So this series basically is a sort of retelling. Obviously with the names you can tell they're retellings of fairy tales, specifically princesses, so it's set in a futuristic world that I don't really know anything about other than Cinder is a cyborg and she's Cinderella, and that's all I kind of know about this series. The next two books I have here are the duology of The Prisoner of Night and Fog by Anne Blankman, and this is book 1, and this is Conspiracy of Blood and Smoke, the second book in the duology, and this one follows a girl named Gretchen who is the niece of none other than Adolf Hitler and her father, who has become a Nazi martyr. There's a conspiracy that he was killed by a comrade, and she's listening to these stories that have been broadcasted by this Jewish reporter named Daniel, who she starts to fall in love with, but obviously that's not a good idea because her uncle is Adolf Hitler and that's just a no-go zone. So I think this will be really cool. It's like a historical fiction type thing, and I haven't really read any wartime books, so I think this will be a really great series to read, and these covers are just stunning and I can't even deal. The next book I have here is The Ghosts of Heaven by Marcus Sedgwick, and this is 4 intertwining stories throughout history and the future, which sounds already amazing. So the first story follows a girl who is basically in the caveman times and she is inventing the first form of writing. The second story is set in the 17th century. The next is 1920s, set in an asylum where this crazy person is drawing spirals, and next is a spaceship in the future of finding a new world. So this book sounds amazing to have such different intertwining stories, and I'm really excited to read it, and this cover is stunning. This next book was a frequent on the booktubes for a while there, and a lot of people have read this one. This book is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Andia, and Renee Andia, I'm sorry already because I don't know, but stunning cover. Again, couldn't pass up the non-hardcover version, and this one is the 1001 Nights retelling version of YA-ness. This one is about a king, or a boy prince technically, and he takes a new bride on the daily, and by come morning they're dead. So basically we are following a story of a girl whose best friend is taken to be his bride and is going to die, but instead she takes her place and has a plan to kill the boy king. So it sounds pretty epic, sounds like something that should have happened to Joffrey, but we all know what happened to him in Game of Thrones if you're following what I'm talking about, but this is what should have happened. So this is the first of 2 or 3 books in the series, so I think this will be a good read and an interesting sort of retelling of the first 1001 Nights, so I think that'll be really cool, and deckled edges. That's all I need to say, deckled edges. The next book I have here is 172 Hours on the Moon by Jonan Hastad, and this is one I've been looking at for so long. Finally got it. Had to get the hardcover because this is scary as crap. Like, how is that not scary as crap? And this one follows 3 teens who have won a trip of a lifetime to go to the moon for a week because NASA is sending up a couple teens to their station there on the moon, and it gets a bit scary. I'm feeling the Martian vibes, and apparently it's a really terrifying book about being in space, and only one of them is allowed to come back. 3 go and 1 comes back. Apparently that's how it's rolling. So I think this is going to be a great book. I hope it's as scary as people are saying, because I don't want the hype to be there and it not be scary, because I want it to be scary. So I'm really excited that I finally have this one. The next two books I have here are part of a trilogy where the last book is coming out supposedly this year, so that is very exciting, and that is the Archive trilogy by Victoria Schwab. And I've been looking at this one as well for a really long time, and the pretty hardcovers I couldn't pass up as well. So this one is a bit of a confusing story. I'm just gonna wing it here because I really don't know how to describe it. So there are these people called histories, and they are dead beings that have been locked up in this library place. And there's this boy named Mac who has been taught by someone named Da before, and they are dead, and so he is now the keeper of the histories, dead soul type things. And it's a little confusing, but it sounds pretty epic. So it's basically like a big prison type thing for dead souls and spirits and things, and someone has been recently breaking in and changing things. So I don't know, it sounds pretty epic. I'm a little confused what the concept was. I had to read it like a million times and I still don't get it, but I think that's probably okay. We'll just go into it a bit blind. And of course this is The Unbound, the second book in the series, and supposedly the third is coming out later this year. The next book I have here has a lot of hype and is a sort of old one now, and that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. And this one is set in 2044, where this boy is playing a game on this contraption called the Oasis, or the game is called the Oasis, and basically he's escaping his normal life to play this pop culture 80s referencey type of game. And the creator has promised fortunes and great power to those who can unlock the references to pop culture. Basically, this sounds pretty cool. It's in a game, and I've read a couple books before where things have been set in a game, so it's always interesting and different to read something like that. And apparently has a really good like rep here on the booktubes, so hopefully this shall be a great book. Next two books I have here, a part of a trilogy. I do not have the third book yet, it is still on its way here, and that is The Madman's Daughter by Megan Shepherd, and this is book 2 of Her Dark Curiosity, and I have the last one coming in the mail. So this one sounds pretty scary and pretty epic as well. It follows a girl named Juliette Moreau. She is setting up her life in Gothic London. She is clouded by the shame of her father. He had a bad reputation. She is trying to escape the scandal that keeps appearing about her father creating monstrosities, and apparently she thought he was dead, but he's on a remote island continuing his horrible experiments. So she goes to travel there. I think there's love interest involved in this, and she basically has to stop him because he is creating scary and talking animal things, and it sounds all very hectic. And this book is set off the island of Dr. Moreau, and the only reason I know that is because of Orphan Black, because that's a great TV show, and that book is in there, so that made me have a little bit of a chuckle. But this is a trilogy, so I think this will be really cool, and also a different sort of book series because it sounds a bit creepy as well, like a lot of these series that I seem to be picking. Obviously I'm in like a scary horror mode at the time. Next series I have is one that I'm really looking forward to reading because I love Kingdom fantasy, so this is going to be fabulous, and that is Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes. I have the first 3 books in the series. I haven't got the 4th one yet because I don't think it's out, or it is, but I'm really looking forward to epic fantasy. I'm really looking forward to this series. And this follows 3 kingdoms that are struggling for power in a land where magic used to exist, probably still exists, but is not common knowledge. And we are following 4 main characters that have their own stories to tell, but they're intertwining with each other. And those 4 characters are a princess, a rebel, a sorceress, and an heir. So I think this is going to be such a cool story because we have such people from different walks of life all coming together or all fighting against each other in this series. So I think it's going to be great. I'm feeling Throne of Glass vibe without the fairy aspect, but I think it's going to be really cool, and I'm looking forward to this series so much. The last book I have here is Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. And this one is sort of like Five Nights at Freddy meets IKEA basically. So it's kind of like an IKEA like manual. It's got pictures of like how to books and like dining tables and all sorts of furniture, and basically owners every day they come in and all these things have been destroyed. Basically lots of employees take up the time to do a night shift and keep an eye on the store. So I'm feeling like it's gonna be like Five Nights at Freddy, and I'm a little scared to read this because I know it's it's gonna be terrifying, but I think it's really gonna be really cool. You see this grave? No, I can't look at it. I'm really scared. It's nighttime right now and I'm gonna have nightmares about this picture. Let's just cover it because I can't even deal. No, I'm so scared right now. Doesn't take much to scare me apparently. But this one is really cool. It's sort of like brochure type book. So I think this is gonna be great, but I'm gonna have to read it during the day because I'm gonna get too scared. That is it for my massive January book haul. Hopefully, as I said, this will be the biggest and the most books that I'm probably going to accumulate this year, bar a couple new ones and things. But I really don't want to buy any more books, and I just went a bit crazy because none of my family was home earlier this month, so I was like, well, they're not gonna notice if I have new books, so. But that is it for my massive book haul today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I described all the books alright. I will link them all down below so you can go and check them out on Goodreads. And that's about it from me.